Welcome back to Guitar Theory Modules. This is Module 20 and we're on pages 61 and 62. In the last module you learned how to construct augmented triads. In this module you learn how to play augmented arpeggios and augmented chords. The augmented triad is a symmetrical chord, meaning that the interval from one note to the next in the chord is always the same, even when you extend it to the octave and beyond. Here's a C augmented chord. The interval from C to E is a major third. The interval from E to G sharp is a major third. And the C above G sharp is enharmonically equivalent to a major third. Remember that G sharp and A sharp are enharmonic equivalents. They're on the same fret. And if you were to continue stacking up more notes on top of that chord, that major third pattern would continue. Major third, major third. The fifths in these augmented arpeggios are labeled as sharp 5. In non-classical styles, the augmented fifth is often labeled sharp 5 to differentiate it from the perfect fifth, which is labeled with a 5. And it doesn't matter if that fifth is a natural note, a flat note, or a sharp note, we label it as sharp 5 because that's how it's functioning in the chord. So if you see a 5, that means a perfect fifth. If you see a sharp 5, that means an augmented fifth. These augmented arpeggios are going to be different from the major, minor, and diminished arpeggios you've learned to play. Because augmented triads are symmetrical, any of these notes in the diagram could serve as the root note. So this diagram shows an extended triad, but we're going to break it into 3-note sets. I'm going to start each arpeggio from the 5th fret only for demonstration purposes, but when you practice this, make sure you play it all over the fretboard and name your starting note. Our first set of 3 notes is going to start on the 6th string. This will be an A augmented arpeggio because we're starting on string 6, fret 5. And you can finger this 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. You label that root, 3, sharp 5, 3, root. Or you could call it 1, 3, sharp 5, 3, and 1. Now let's treat the 5th string note as our root note. This is going to be a D augmented arpeggio because I'm starting on the D, string 5, fret 5. Finger this 3, 2, 1, and then 2, 3. And you can call that root, 3, sharp 5, 3, and root. Or you could label that as 1, 3, sharp 5, 3, and 1. Now we'll treat the 4th string as our root. This will be a G augmented triad because we're starting on the G, string 4, fret 5. This time our fingering is 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. You could also play finger 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, or 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's some options there. However you play, you label it root, 3, sharp 5, 3, root, or 1, 3, sharp 5, 3, and 1. Our last set of 3 is going to be a C augmented arpeggio. We're starting on the note C, string 3, fret 5. You could finger this 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. And you label it root, 3, sharp 5, 3, root, or 1, 3, sharp 5, 3, and 1. We're going to get into movable chords later in this book, but because the Augmented Triad Arpeggios match the augmented chord shapes, I want to talk about these augmented chords right now. Here's a couple augmented triad shapes. They're pretty easy, and you just play them with fingers 1, 2, 3. The root of each chord is labeled underneath the diagram with an R. And some chords will have root notes on the 6th string, some will have root notes on the 5th string. For the 6th string root chords, you're going to use the 6th string to navigate. For example, if you want to play a B augmented triad with the root on the 6th string, you're going to take that 6th string shape, move it so that the root is on the B on fret 7 on string 6. And there's your B augmented triad. The same concept applies to 5th string root chords as well. To play an E augmented chord with the root on the 5th string, you would move that 5th string shape so that the root of the chord lands on the E on the 5th string, 7th fret. And I do want to mention that in your music, you'll see an augmented triad written with an AUG abbreviation, a plus sign, or a +5 sign. I'm going to show you 3 ways you can practice arpeggios. I showed you these in Module 18, but I want to show them to you again, this time mixing in the augmented arpeggios. If you want to focus on muscle memory, play an arpeggio as low as you can on the fretboard, and I'm going to do this C augmented starting on the 5th string. Move that arpeggio fret by fret all the way up the fretboard to around the 12th fret, and then back down, and name your starting note or your root note as you play each arpeggio. C augmented, D flat augmented, or C sharp, D augmented, E flat augmented, and so forth. Work your way up to maybe the 12th fret, so that would be an A augmented, and then back down, A flat augmented, G augmented, and then work your way back down to where you started on the C augmented. And you could do this with all your major, minor, diminished, and augmented arpeggio patterns. This second approach combines arpeggio practice with fretboard knowledge. So pick a note, let's say a G, and then play all the arpeggio shapes starting on that note. And we're going to do this with G augmented arpeggios. So I could play this low G augmented. I could play this G on the 4th string. I could move to the 10th fret on the 5th string. I could maybe move up to the 12th fret on the 3rd string. And do this with your major, minor, diminished, and augmented arpeggios on 2 or 3 notes a day. It's really going to boost your fretboard knowledge. And the latest and greatest way to practice arpeggios, which you learned in Module 18, is to mix up your major, minor, diminished, and now augmented arpeggios. So start on one particular note. Let's just pick the G again. And I'm going to start on low G. I can play major arpeggios, minor, and then all the diminished arpeggios that are available. And then the augmented. And then find your other Gs and do the same thing. And we're just going to do this on one more G because this could take a while. So I'm going to start on the G on string 4, fret 5. Can play my major arpeggios, minor, okay, I have 3 diminished that I can play, and augmented. Do this on 2 or 3 notes a day, and this will also really boost your fretboard knowledge. Your assignment for this module is to play major, minor, diminished, and now augmented arpeggios in your practice routine. This is a lifelong assignment, so feel free to move right on to Module 21. And don't forget to check out my book, Guitar Theory Modules. You can watch all these videos for free, but if you have a copy of Guitar Theory Modules, you're going to have all this information in one place. It's going to be a lot easier to follow along. So I'll leave a link in the description. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. And when you're ready, I'll see you in Module 21, which is going to be a quick review of the 4 types of triads: major, minor, diminished, and augmented.